So let me welcome you to today's session of MSME Clinic. And I want to urge you, if you have not watched the previous episodes of MSME Clinic, I would encourage you to go back. Because again, what do we do at MSME Clinic? We look at topical issues that affect your enterprise and entrepreneurs. So once you have all these issues affecting them, we try to diagnose this issue and provide solutions to them. So today's session, we're going to be looking at risk. Okay? And I start by saying that the greatest risk in life is the risk of sleeping and not waking up. So if you have the belief that you would die, you will sleep today and you will not wake up tomorrow, would that stop you from sleeping? The answer is no. So what do you normally do? For every entrepreneur, you want to start an enterprise, you're already into an enterprise, the first thing you need to do is to sit down and identify all the potential risk. So today, I'll be talking to you about risk management in agriculture. And by way of definition, risk management in agriculture refers to the processes of identifying, assessing, and mitigating risks that can affect agricultural operations. So the number one thing is you must sit down to take your biro and identify what are the possible risks that can affect my enterprise. So you sit down, you itemize one by one. These are all the risks that are possible to affect my enterprise. So the next thing you need to do is to assess. So you categorize this risk and try to prioritize them. These risks that I have itemized, how are they likely going to happen? So you itemize, you prioritize them. Then once you do that, the next thing you need to provide is how to mitigate this risk. Okay? So once you take this, you are set to be doing risk management. So today, I will be discussing 5 major risks that are inherent in agribusiness. You often hear that people will tell you that I don't want to go into agriculture because it's too risky. Okay? And I will tell you that that's a statement of fact. But for indeed any enterprise that you are going into, there are risks. And we have said identify these risks, assess these risks, categorize them, and prioritize them. The ones that are likely going to happen, then once you mitigate, then you're on your way to your future. So the number one risk or agricultural risks I will be talking to you are the ones that are weather related. And don't forget, when it has to do with weather, you do not have control over that type of risk. So we have weather related risks that have to do with drought, flood, and storms. Okay? And I will make bold to tell you that today, every 2 years in this part of the world, you either have a drought or a flood happening. Where storms are not quite common with us here. And luckily, we have NIMET in Nigeria, and I'm sure some other countries have weather forecasting stations that can tell you what the weather is going to be. And of course, with Google today, you can read the weather on a weekly basis ahead. So do not ignore all these things. The risk of drought, that is, you don't have enough water for production. Then, of course, the risk of flood. I tell you today, Kebbi State in northwest Nigeria was able to develop an irrigation system called the tube well that enables them to do supplementary irrigation. And with that, they have become the champion of rice production today in this part of the world. So, checking at weather-related risk, you must look at NIMET to see what are they predicting, what are they saying as per weather, and is it going to be drought or is it going to be flood, so that you can be adequately prepared. And I'm telling you that supplementary irrigation is one way to be able to continue your production going forward. The number 2 risk that we're going to be looking at is the risk of called the market risk. Okay? So, and I will urge you today, before you start any form of production, please check who is going to buy. Okay? In advanced marketing, is called an off-taker. Okay? Make sure you identify your off-taker, and if possible, go ahead to sign an agreement with that off-taker to say, look, this thing I'm going to produce, you're going to buy them. Okay? That is the problem of price volatility. Today, we have high inflation leading to high prices. Okay? So prices therefore fluctuate. Okay? And what about supply and demand fluctuations? These are things that affect the market to determine whether the product will come up to the market or not. So check out who is going to buy from you. If possible, sign an agreement with that person. For perishable items, it is very risky for you to produce without knowing who the market is. And again, if you are using technology like the greenhouse, for example, to produce your vegetable, tomatoes, pepper, they are highly perishable, then there is a need for you to have a standby cooling system. And if you don't have that, you can use what is called staggered system of production. So once you check the size of the market and you have, say, maybe you are doing a closed system of using the greenhouse technology, then you can do what is called staggered production to be able to meet up with that market so that you don't have to run into the problem of market risk. So the next other risk is the biological risk. Okay? Biological risk has to do with pests and diseases. Okay? Of course, when you come to things like animal production, for example, you talk about poultry now, there are some certain diseases that happens to come and affect your poultry production that can wipe away your entire beds. So you must be able to talk with the relevant extension agents and agricultural officers to know the kind of diseases and pests that are prevalent in your area so that you can prepare adequately to avoid those things. So biological risks they are real. Then, of course, you talk about operational risk. Operational risk has to do with your day-to-day operation, how you go about your enterprise. Okay? So key to operational risk are mechanical failures and labor shortages. So today, everybody wants to jackpot and nobody wants to go into agriculture. So we're urging you, check your labor requirements, check your machines, check the people that will fix these machines to know that they are available so that you can readily call on them anytime you have need to do that. And of course, when you talk about tractorization, for example, tractors work in the depth of the bushes. Okay? So you must be able to get a motorbike, for example, identify who the mechanics will be, and be able to transport them to those distances because they are difficult terrains. So operational risk has to do with mechanical failure and labor shortages. Okay? So plan adequately for your labor. So now I want to talk about the last set of risks, which has to do with financial risk, credit risk, and interest rates. Okay? The banks, would hardly want to give loans to the farmer because they will tell you things like it's not the same song that the farmers sing when they want to collect the loan that they sing when they want to repay back. Okay? So credit risk, availability of finance for you to be able to do your enterprise, then of course you must discuss your interest. Don't forget that they often say that most banks do their terms and conditions on very, very tiny letters. Okay? So make sure you read. One of those things that you come across is on that terms and condition is that if as anytime inflation goes up, your interest rate will go up without recourse to you. So watch out for the 5 risks and try to identify them, assess them, mitigate them, then you are now in business. So don't forget, we discussed about weather-related risks, we talked about market, we talked about biological operations and financial risks. So today, I urge you, take care of these risks and your farm will blossom and your enterprise will grow. Thank you and have a pleasant day.